Okay, so we're all regrouped after that. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rhiannon and Crichton. I'm going to talk to you about the industry applications of the ITC, and specifically our project Banana Boost. Yep. So in the EU, the banana is the third most consumed fruit in the EU after apples and oranges. And actually, I suspect those statistics include a lot of the juice processing that goes on as well. But it's the third most consumed in the EU, with the average European eating 10.2 kilograms. So actually, Belgium's a little bit lower than the average. So given their huge popularity, how well do we actually know our bananas then? Oh, there we go. So here at the ITC, the Global Banana Gene Bank, we think of bananas like this, so lots of varieties, lots of diversity. But then as a consumer in an average supermarket, our experience of banana is more like this one. So we have one type of banana to choose from, and this picture actually comes from Julie, so it's from France. As the signs show, that product is so standardized that it could come from a country in the Caribbean, it could come from America or Africa, and it's still essentially the same product. And so that product, as we've heard, is a Cavendish banana. When it comes to Cavendish bananas, differentiation in the market can come from going organic or going fair trade, or both. And sometimes we do also find the little small sweet varieties and plantains for cooking. So this supermarket monoculture is because 97% of all internationally traded bananas are comprised of the few genetically similar varieties that make up the Cavendish bananas. Of all the internationally traded bananas, the EU imports 27% of those, or about 4.5 million tonnes a year. So Cavendish bananas, I mean, we all know this banana really well. They're excellent bananas, so there's many good reasons why it dominates the market. So it's high yielding, resistant to some important pests and diseases, popular with consumers, and really, very importantly, the industry has a really good understanding of how to get it from fields in tropical places to supermarkets in temperate places. And often, in the case of Europe, that will involve an ocean crossing, for example. Okay, so, however, the over-reliance of the whole value chain on the extremely narrow genetic base of Cavendish bananas does make that value chain very vulnerable. So when we're talking about the value chain, we're talking about the banana varieties themselves. We're talking about their production environment. We're talking about the producers and the labourers, the distributors, the retailers, and then the consumers. And so all these components of the value chain are then very vulnerable to things like changing conditions such as pests and diseases, climate change and the resultant, so like irregular rainfall, not enough rainfall, increased like extreme sort of hurricane, cyclone weather events, and also social changes. So here in Europe, social changes such as changing consumer preferences, so fair trade and organic is a good example of that, migration and changing kind of ethnic compositions, amounts of disposable income, and then also social changes in the production countries themselves, so such as like workers' rights, wages, health and safety, things like that. Because the banana value chain is so extensive and so important to so many people across the globe, it is highly publicised and also highly politicised. So here's just a selection of articles from reputable places about the Cavendish varieties. So this one, we've got the risks of fungal diseases threatening the Cavendish varieties, the risks of monoculture in combination with pests and diseases. We've got just the global banana industry in general, killing the banana. Stories about environmental destruction, unsafe working conditions. This is a big one in Britain, for example, the supermarket price wars, where they try to just drive the price of Cavendish bananas as cheaply as possible, and then how the money that the consumer pays, how it's then divided up between different players in the value chain. So the issue of the banana value So the issue of the banana value chain does grab the attention of the media and the public, and especially this issue of the vulnerability of relying so heavily on Cavendish bananas grown in monoculture. There's a really good reason for this as well. So it's because the banana export industry has been devastated before. So Cavendish bananas are in fact the second major export banana. And this is after plantations of the original export banana, which is a banana called Gros Michel. They were devastated in Latin American, Caribbean countries in the 1950s with the introduction of a fungal pathogen, Fusarium race 1. So that causes Fusarium wilt. So leaves wilt, the plant dies. And back in the 50s, the damage that caused, for example, was financial losses of $2.3 billion US. That's equivalent value to the year 2000. So Cavendish bananas are resistant to Fusarium race 1, and that's why they replaced Gros Michel in Latin America and the Caribbean, which is where we get most of our export group. But Cavendish bananas are not resistant to Fusarium tropical race 4, or TR4 as it's sometimes known, and so that's really what the industry is really concerned about nowadays. TR4 sort of starts in Asia, it's now spreading westwards, it's in the Middle East, it was very recently, unfortunately, introduced into Africa. At the moment, there's no confirmed its presence in Latin America, Caribbean, or West Africa, but that's exactly what the industry is really concerned about. Okay, so big issues for the whole banana value chain. So what are we doing about this? Well, Bioversity International and a consortium of international partners have developed the project Banana Boost. So Banana Boost is the diversification of the banana varieties available in the EU in support of their conservation. Banana Boost addresses the twin challenges of the over-reliance of the industry on the Cavendish bananas, and then the flip side of that, which is that basically the commercial underutilization of all these other numerous, genetically diverse, nutritious, tasty, locally popular banana varieties. So Banana Boost, it's got 6 distinct areas of work, and we're actively looking for collaborators and supporters to continue to successfully implement this project. At the moment, in collaboration with AgriFair and Taste, I'm not sure if any of their representatives are here today. Yeah, we've got, yeah. So AgriFair and Taste, they're SME distributors and sustainable value chain specialists. So SME in EU language is small to medium enterprise people, companies. So together we've started to work on one specific aspect of the Banana Boost project, which aims to identify 3 to 5 non-Cavendish banana varieties with commercial potential in the EU. So how are we doing that? So to do this, so we've set up a field trial in a Latin American Caribbean country with a set of genetically diverse, interesting, locally popular non-Cavendish banana varieties. This is also where I should really mention the ITC. So the planting material for the trials is all sourced from the ITC. It's all clean. We've got all the accession information. We know where it comes from. And also selecting the varieties in the first place was done with the help of, for example, MGIS, which I think you've seen, the information system associated with the ITC, and also in consultation with experts in our networks. So with this field trial, we're now in the process of systematically evaluating these varieties for their yield. So that's pretty straightforward. For their response to pests and diseases, so especially Fusarium wilt. Also, like for example, black leaf streak or black sigatoka, which in the Cavendish varieties requires frequent aerial application of pesticides. So if we could reduce that, that would be great. Evaluating these varieties for post-harvest characteristics. This is especially important area where the industry needs a lot of investment in research and development to basically make protocols for the new varieties if they're different from Cavendish, which they probably would be. So this is protocols for the timing of harvest, cold storage temperatures, ripening procedures, all those sorts of protocols. Evaluating for nutritional composition. So as we heard with Stefan's talk with the high vitamin A varieties, a lot of these ones are also high vitamin A varieties. So you can see, well, the colour's not so good, but you can see it's kind of an orangey pink colour. So that's sort of showing that it's got high levels of provitamin A carotenoids, which European consumers might also be interested in. And finally, we're just evaluating them for their sensory characteristics using test panels with EU consumers. So this is yet to see what EU consumers would think about the taste, the mouthfeel, the texture, the fact that it's novel, the fact that it could be organic or fair trade, not sure. And consumers' willingness to pay for these novel varieties. So, just to reiterate, the aim of this series of evaluations within Banana Boost is to identify a small number of non-Cavendish varieties with commercial potential, to increase the use of all these currently underutilised varieties, to support the diversification of the value chain and all the different stakeholders that rely on the value chain, and to decrease the reliance of the Cavendish banana varieties. I just heard a woman as well in our talk talking about benefit sharing, for example. So Banana Boost has 6 sort of distinct areas. I'm just talking about one of them. One of our areas is actually a benefit sharing mechanism. So that if, for example, say this variety here, it's very interesting, for example, say it comes from Thailand, and say that starts to actually generate a lot of commercial potential, then there would be a certification scheme where that money could then go back to Thailand and then to support kind of conservation in where the bananas came from. So anyway, but the alarm's gone off. So that's about all I've got time to tell you about. But I hope I've sort of illuminated how the ITC is contributing to diversifying EU banana market. So yeah, feel free to talk to me or email, and also other colleagues. Inge Vandenberg is who I work with a lot, and other Bioversity colleagues. Thank you.